There are places that whisper their names on the wind before you ever arrive. Argentina is one of them. It hums in the tremble of a bandoneon. It murmurs from the long grass of the pampas. It flickers in the eyes of horses as they gallop through the fading light. It is smoke and memory, myth and motion, a country not merely of land but of longing, from the turquoise glaciers that crack like thunder, to deserts that shimmer with forgotten bones, to neighborhoods where tango drips like honey from open windows. Argentina unfolds like a handwritten letter, creased with time, full of stories and always, somehow, addressed to you. Even the silence here feels articulate, a hush beneath the Andes, a stillness over endless plains, a pause in the throat of a traveler trying to describe what they've seen. Welcome to Argentina, where the land stretches in contradiction, wild and refined, raw and elegant, sacred and worldly. It is a place where Europe once came to dream itself new, and where ancient voices, Quechua and Mapuche, still echo in wind-carved stone. Walk through Buenos Aires at dawn. Watch the sky ripple with pinks and ash blues over the cobblestones of San Telmo. Smell the warm bread from corner cafes. Hear the ghost of the Gardel lyric drifting from a passing car. This is a city of gestures, of glances, winks, held hands, and sudden turns. A city that performs itself daily, like a play no one wants to end. Far south, beyond the ordinary compass, lies Ushuaia, the southernmost city in the world. Here, in the shadows of jagged peaks, the Beagle Channel stretches like a cold sigh. It was once a prison town, now a harbor for wanderers chasing the edge of the world. From here, ships sailed to Antarctica, and wind tells stories only birds and ice can understand. And to the north, where mist kisses jungle leaves, the great Iguazu Falls thunder with celestial force. Eleanor Roosevelt once stood before them and whispered, "Poor Niagara." But here, power is not boastful. It is graceful. The water dances, the spray blesses, and the roar becomes a lullaby for those who listen with reverence. Argentina is also silence wrapped in altitude. In the high deserts of Salta and Jujuy, colors bleed into one another. Ochres, lavenders, burnt siennas. Painted hills that feel like dreams translated into rock. Llamas watch with ancient calm as you pass. And if you stand still long enough, the wind will tell you its secrets. Not everything here is for the eye. Much of it is for the soul. There is a story, little known, about a gaucho named Martin Fierro, immortalized in verse. He was a rebel, a wanderer, a reluctant soldier and reluctant hero, a man who tried to hold his dignity against the crush of time. His tale, fictional yet foundational, became the mirror in which Argentina saw itself, flawed, proud, restless, and unwilling to be tamed. Travel here is less about where you go, and more about how you listen. Customs are gentle but vivid. Greet with a kiss on the cheek, even strangers. Yerba mate is not just a drink. It's a ritual of trust passed hand to hand. If offered, accept it with grace. Sip it slowly. Return it without fuss. Time moves differently here. Late dinners, long conversations, sudden detours. Allow yourself to be unhurried. Spring arrives in October. The jacarandas bloom in purple fog. Autumn glows in copper across the vineyards of Mendoza. In Patagonia, the seasons are more ancient, wind-swept and wild, the land untouched in ways that remind you how small you are. In Argentina, beauty isn't always polished. Sometimes it's chipped. Sometimes it limps. But always it glows from within. You are the traveler now. And this country, vast and waiting, has already begun to shape itself around your footsteps. The Ibera wetlands do not shout. They shimmer, a world afloat, suspended between sky and water, where marshes stretch to the horizon, and the light moves slowly, as if weighed down by memory. Here, silence is alive. Capybaras wade through tall grass like slow-moving shadows. Caimans linger in still lagoons, eyes just above the surface, watching with the patience of the ancient. This is one of South America's largest freshwater reservoirs, a forgotten Eden stitched together by more than 60 lakes. Hidden channels, whispering reeds, and skies that seem to unfold forever. Early morning is a sacred hour. Mist curls over the water, sunlight fragments through dew, and hundreds of birds, spoonbills, herons, jabiroos, rise in great trembling arcs. But this is not only a sanctuary of animals. It is a place where stories drift in the air like pollen. For centuries, the Guarani people called this land home. Their word, Ibera, means bright water. And if you watch closely, you'll see why. The wetland reflects the heavens, with a stillness that feels almost divine. During the military dictatorship of the 1970s, these quiet waters hid more than wildlife. Locals tell of dissidents who fled into the reeds, seeking safety where the government would not follow. Some never returned. Some became legends. The wetlands remember all of them. And now, they are watched over by guardians of a different kind. Rewilding Argentina, a conservation group, has helped bring back species once lost. Giant anteaters, pampas deer, even the jaguar. Their work is slow, like the wetlands themselves, but it hums with hope. If you visit, tread lightly. These lands are fragile. Stay in Colonia Carlos Pellegrini, a village of red dirt roads and soft hospitality. Locals will guide you by canoe at dawn, where even your voice must be quieted by the grandeur around you. The mosquitoes arrive with the sun, so bring sleeves and patience. The rain can fall in sheets. The beauty always waits underneath. There is no spectacle here, only presence, only the still, bright water, and the soft understanding that some of Earth's magic requires you to be very, very still to truly see it. At the edge of Patagonia, Fitz Roy rises like a dream cast in granite. Its jagged spires pierce the sky with an ancient defiance, etching shadows onto the wind-swept plains below. Clouds cling to its summit like whispers that have forgotten their way down. And when the sun breaks, just for a moment, the mountain glows gold, then pink, then ice blue, like a secret slowly unfolding. They call it El Chaltén, the Smoking Mountain, a name given by the Tehuelche people, who watched it disappear in the clouds, believing it to be a volcano. But this peak is fireless. Its power lies in silence. Climbers come with reverence. It is one of the hardest mountains to summit on Earth, not because of height, but because of weather, sudden, violent, unknowable. In 1952, a French expedition finally reached the top. Lionel Terray and Guido Magnon carved their names into the heavens, but they did not brag. For those who truly reach Fitz Roy, there's only humility. From El Chaltén, trails lead you through Lenga forests and glacial streams. The path to Laguna de los Tres is long, but each step is stitched with awe. Condors circling overhead, the wind like an old song playing just out of reach. And when you reach the lake, icy and mirror smooth, you'll see Fitz Roy reflected there. A vision so still you'll forget to breathe. Pack layers. The wind here can arrive without warning, and the sun can burn even through cloud. Speak softly. This place deserves your silence. And if you come in October or April, you'll find fewer travelers, more solitude, and the kind of cold that clarifies the soul. There are mountains that impress, and there are mountains that change you. Fitz Roy does both. Puerto Madero is Buenos Aires in a mirror, glass and steel rising from water, once choked with memory. Once, these docks were the city's heartbeat. Ships grown into port with spices, stories, immigrants clutching hope. Then the world turned. The docks fell quiet. Forgotten warehouses sank into rust and silence. But silence never lasts here. Puerto Madero reemerged. Refined, reimagined, reborn. Now the river walks beside you like a polished shadow. Reflections shimmer in the calm waters of the old canal, while restaurants glow behind floor-to-ceiling glass, and the scent of steak and salt floats on the evening air. At the center stands a Puente de la Mujer, the woman's bridge, a sculpted sweep of white that seems to dance across the dock. Designed by Santiago Calatrava, it rotates to let ships pass, graceful as a bow. But beneath the modern gloss lies a quiet tribute. The ships moored here, floating museums now, bear the names of Argentine women who broke boundaries. Juana Azadui, hero of independence. Sarah Justo, pioneer women's rights. Each vessel a story anchored in steel. If you come at dusk, watch the skyline bloom in gold. And listen, the city hums differently here. Locals jog along the old docks. Couples pause at railings to share mate. And herons nest in the reeds of the ecological reserve nearby. A patch of wild at the edge of glass. Dress smartly if you dine here. And if you're offered dulce de leche with your dessert, say yes. Always yes. Puerto Madero is the city's quiet exhale, a place where the past floats just below the surface, and the future leans softly into light. Ushuaia cradles the edge of the world. Here, where the Andes collapse into the sea, the sky feels closer, and the land whispers of endings. It is the southernmost city on Earth, brushed by Antarctic winds, lit by long, strange days in summer, and endless blue hours in winter. Ships rest in the harbor like waiting thoughts, poised to sail into whiteness. Snow clings to the mountains behind. while the streets below bustle with the soft resilience of people used to quiet extremes. Once this was a prison town, built to isolate the nation's most dangerous and most forgotten. Cold, remote, inescapable. The old penitentiary still stands, its corridors echoing with the footsteps of ghosts and guards alike. But even here, beauty found its way in. Today, Ushuaia is a gateway, not just to Antarctica, but to wilderness, to fjords and forests and foxes that vanish in mist. Walk the trails of Tierra del Fuego National Park, where lenga trees lean toward the sea, and the silence is stitched with birdsong. You may spot beavers, not native but now permanent, reminders of past human miscalculations, a fail for a trade that altered the ecosystem. Locals speak with warmth, even when the wind bites. Layer well, even in summer. Weather shifts fast, sun to sleet in a breath. And if you find yourself alone by the water, watch the albatrosses glide low and wide. And remember, you are standing at the end of something vast. But in Argentina, endings are often just another kind of beginning. Mendoza breathes beneath the Andes, like a city built from sunlight and silence. Vineyards stretch in geometric grace toward the mountains, each row a quiet prayer to rain that almost never comes. This is a land of thirst made fertile by invention, a 1,000-year-old irrigation system, first carved by the Warpies. Still channels snow melt into the valley, like veins carrying lifeblood through dry skin. In harvest season, the air smells of crushed grape and with smoke. Malbec flows in deep violet rivers through cellars and conversations. And everywhere, under pergolas, on patios, across tile plazas, people gather unhurried, sip slowly here. Wine is not a drink in Mendoza. It is an offering. In the shadow of these vines stands a monument to courage. In 1817, General San Martin led the Army of the Andes from this valley across impossible peaks. A campaign as daring as it was impossible. The crossing defied maps, logic, and winter, but it birthed a nation's freedom. Climb to the top of Cerro de la Gloria and feel the wind that still carries that story. Locals speak with a calm patience. They pause in their sentences. Time here has a different weight. If you visit in March, the Vendimia Harvest Festival crowns the city in dance and light. But even on quieter days, there is music in the clink of glasses and wisdom in the soil. Mendoza teaches you that life, like wine, is shaped by what you endure and made beautiful by how you rise through it. Bariloche lies between lake and mountain, like a postcard someone forgot to send. Its streets curve along the edge of Nahuel Huapi Lake, a vast mirror of glacial blue that catches every passing cloud and every mood the sky can hold. The air here is crisp with pine and cocoa, for this is a city of chocolate and wood smoke, alpine in flavor, but unmistakably Argentine in soul. Wander the stone facades of the Civic Center, and you may hear echoes of travelers, of skiers, of whispers from the past. For this region holds shadows too. After the Second World War, Bariloche became a quiet haven for fleeing Nazi officers. Some hidden, some welcomed under false names. A wound in the architecture of truth that still hums beneath the tourist glass. But the land itself has always belonged to deeper stories. The Mapuche people lived here long before borders, naming each peak, each stream, each gust of wind. Their language still echoes if you listen beyond the signs. Take the cable car up Cerro Alto, or hike the trails through Lengda and Coihu forests. At the summit, let your breath pause, for the panorama is vast. Lakes unfolding like stories, snow on distant peaks glowing like watchful eyes. In winter, skiers come. In summer, the lake's warm just enough to swim. If you're brave, say buen dia to strangers. It's how mornings begin here. Bring a scarf, even in December. Bariloche's breezes are made of mountain memory, and as night falls and the lights blink to life across the water, you'll feel it, a quiet contentment, the sense of arriving, not just in a place, but in a feeling you didn't know you were looking for. In Los Glaciares National Park, the Earth still remembers how to move like ice. Here, in the deep south of Patagonia, rivers of frozen time pour slowly between jagged peaks. They groan, they crack, they shimmer with impossible blues. Turquoise sapphire, even pale ghost white, that catches the sun and refuses to let go. This is a landscape shaped by silence and pressure, by centuries, by cold. Stand before the face of Perito Moreno, one of the few glaciers still advancing, and you may hear it calve, a sound like thunder from beneath the world, a wall of ice collapsing with grace and violence into the waiting lake. No photograph can hold its presence. It must be felt in the ribs, like awe, like sorrow, like joy that's too large for words. The park stretches far beyond the glacier. Mountains like stone cathedrals, lakes as still as thought, and paths that wind through forests. So quiet you can hear your own footsteps become softer. In 1985, UNESCO named it a World Heritage Site, but the recognition is just a shadow of what the land already knows about itself. Come in spring or fall, the crowds thin, the colors turn, and the wind feels less like a wall, more like a song. Dress in layers, waterproof your soul, and be patient. Patagonia reveals itself slowly, like a truth you have to earn. Boat tours glide close to the ice, but the real beauty is in standing still, watching, letting the cold wrap around you until your breath matches the rhythm of the land. Los Glaciares is not a place to conquer. It is a place to surrender, to time, to wonder, to the stillness that lives deep inside the moving. Buenos Aires is a city that performs itself, not for tourists, but for its own memory. It walks in two worlds. European facades kissed by Latin soul, where tango spills from cracked doorways, and shadows dance before the music even starts. The streets are poems written in cobblestones. Balconies drip with geraniums. Cafes whisper at midnight. And somewhere always a voice sings of loss, as if the city itself cannot forget who it once was. In La Boca, colors shout from the walls. Reds, yellows, greens painted on corrugated tin. Homes once made from the scraps of arriving ships. Immigrants from Italy, Spain, Armenia wove their hopes here like thread into tapestry. But Buenos Aires is not only its neighborhoods. It's in the way a portento gestures with their whole being, in the sacred pause before a sip of mate, in the late dinners, the fierce debates, the poetry written under lamps, in cafes that have never closed. One story floats above the rest, the ghost of Evita, still present in the marble halls of Recoleta, still felt in Plaza de Mayo, where mothers march in white scarves. For children taken during the dictatorship, memory here walks beside you. There is elegance, yes, in Teatro Colón's velvet hush, in the mirrored bookcases of El Ateneo, but also rebellion in murals that stretch like prayers across buildings, and in street corners where protest and poetry still share a cigarette. Travel gently, greet with warmth. Ciao is goodbye, but nos vemos means we'll meet again. If you walk the city with your heart open, you will leave with part of it folded quietly in your chest. Buenos Aires doesn't ask to be understood, only to be felt. Iguazu Falls is thunder made liquid. Here, where Argentina meets Brazil and Paraguay, water falls from the heavens in sheets of roaring power, sending spray that hangs like misty lace in the jungle air. The falls are a cathedral without walls, a symphony of water and stone and light, where rainbows arch like promises over the thundering abyss. There are 275 separate cascades, each a story of erosion and persistence, carving the land since time was young. In Guarani legend, the falls were born of heartbreak. A god's rage turned a river wild to stop a forbidden love. Walk the wooden paths that thread through subtropical forest, where toucans flash like living brushstrokes, and coatis scurry with quiet mischief. The constant roar hides smaller wonders. Orchids blooming in damp silence. Butterflies that settle on skin like petals. If you stand near the devil's throat, the deepest plunge, the spray will soak you like a baptism, and you'll feel the raw pulse of the planet. Come early to avoid crowds. Wear sturdy shoes. Paths can be slippery. Bring a rain jacket, or prepare to become part of the falls themselves. Iguazu is not just a spectacle. It is a reminder of nature's relentless force and its fragile beauty. The Valdés Peninsula unfolds like a secret along Argentina's Atlantic coast. Here, where land meets sea in a fragile embrace, life pulses in rhythms both wild and ancient. Tides roll in and out, carving salt flats and sandy shores, where southern right whales come to birth their calves. These giants rise like silent mountains from the water, their breaths sending clouds of steam to the sky. Orcas hunt along the coastline in a rare dance of cunning, beaching themselves briefly to snatch seals in a breathtaking ballet of survival. It is one of nature's most intimate dramas, played out where few eyes have lingered long enough to witness. Penguins gather in noisy colonies, their black and white suits punctuating the rugged landscape. Magellanic and gender penguins alike call this place home, waddling with the awkward charm of ancient mariners. But Valdés is not only about animals. The peninsula is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, its harsh beauty shaped by wind and salt, and by human hands that learn to live in balance with this fragile world. Local communities preserve traditions born of resilience. Fishermen who navigate these waters with stories passed down like precious maps. If you visit, bring binoculars and patience. Spring and summer offer the best chances to see whales and seals. The wind can be fierce, so dress in layers. Walking here is a lesson in stillness. watching, waiting, and learning to listen to the quiet conversations between ocean and land. Valdés holds its secrets softly, offering gifts only to those who come with respect. Tierra del Fuego National Park is a world carved by wind, water, and time. Here, at the very end of the Americas, forests whisper in Lenga and Coihu, their branches heavy with moss like ancient tapestries. Rivers snake through valleys, reflecting skies so vast. They feel endless, almost unreal. The park's wild heart beats with a quiet resilience, where beavers, an introduced species, have reshaped the landscape, reminding us of nature's fragile balance and our place within it. Walking these trails, you step through a mosaic of life, from the delicate bloom of caliphate berries to the sharp calls of the Andean condor overhead. There is a sacredness here in the way the wind moves through the trees and in the silence that falls between the sounds. This land was once home to the Selknam people, whose footprints have faded, but whose spirit remains in every stone and stream. In winter, snow cloaks the park in stillness. In summer, wildflowers burst like flames along the paths. Be prepared for sudden weather changes. Layers and waterproof gear are your companions here. If you listen closely, the forest will tell you its stories. Stories of survival, loss, and endless hope. Tierra del Fuego reminds us that even at the edge of the world, life persists delicate and fierce, like a flame flickering in the wind. The Perito Moreno Glacier is a living monument, a vast river of ice, ancient and relentless. Its frozen face stretches more than 30 kilometers, a brilliant wall of blue and white that gleams under the Patagonian sun. Unlike most glaciers retreating worldwide, Perito Moreno advances, inching forward with a stubborn heartbeat, pushing ice into the waters of Lake Argentino. Every so often, the glacier performs a spectacular rupture, a natural dam of ice blocking the Brazo Rico arm of the lake, until pressure forces a cataclysmic collapse, sending chunks of ice crashing down with thunderous applause. This spectacle draws visitors from across the globe, but beyond the drama lies a quiet truth. The glacier is a reminder of Earth's slow, majestic rhythms. Walk the boardwalks tracing the glacier's edge, feel the sharp chill in the air, and watch the sunlight refract through crystal towers of ice. Keep your eyes on the horizon. Sometimes condors circle high above, their shadows fleeting on the ice. If you visit in summer, prepare for long days filled with light and cold. Respect the fragile ecosystem. Stay on marked paths and listen to the whispers of the wind. Perito Moreno is not just ice. It is time made tangible, a story of endurance etched in frozen stone. Villa La Angostura rests gently on the shores of Lake Nahuelhuapi, wrapped in green and blue. Like a lullaby sung by the forest, this small mountain town moves slowly, its streets lined with wood and stone, flowers spilling from balconies, the scent of pine mingling with fresh bread from the panaderias. Boats drift across the lake like thoughts not yet spoken, and beyond them, mountains rise, not to dominate, but to hold the silence in place. Just outside town lies Los Aranes National Park, home to a rare forest of cinnamon-colored trees that twist like dancers along the shoreline. It's said this forest inspired Walt Disney's Bambi. But here, the magic feels real, the air still, the water clear, the trees humming with age. In winter, snow dusts the rooftops and skiers carve through nearby slopes. In summer, trails wind into shaded woods, where deer sometimes pause long enough to be believed. Respect the quiet here. Locals cherish their rhythm. Slow, deliberate, always kind. Bring a sweater, even in sunlight. The wind comes down from the peaks, with stories tucked inside. Villa La Angostura is not grand. It does not shout. It invites you to breathe, to linger, to feel the stillness between one heartbeat and the next. Tigre is a city of rivers instead of roads, just north of Buenos Aires. The land dissolves into delta, a labyrinth of islands, waterways threading between willow trees and wooden docks. Boats are the heartbeat here. They carry groceries, school children, stories. They drift through time as life moves with the current. The town itself hums with weekend charm, markets of hand-woven baskets and painted ceramics, a vintage amusement park where laughter still echoes, and the scent of grilled corpin curling through the air. But out on the delta, a slower rhythm reigns. Cabins perch on stilts, wrapped in quiet and fernlight. Egrets glide overhead. Frogs sing at dusk. In the 19th century, Tigre was a retreat for artists and poets, and some say it still is. The air feels like it remembers dreams. Take the wooden ferry. Listen to the water. Let the stillness stretch. Tigre doesn't rush. It drifts. Purmamarca lies in the cradle of the Andes, a village small in size, but vast in color and silence. It is most known for the Hill of Seven Colors, a mountainside that rises behind the town, like a painted flame, striped in rose, ochre, violet, green, each hue a geologic whisper from a different age of the earth. In the golden light of morning, the colors soften, then brighten as the sun lifts, a canvas that keeps changing, yet never moves. The Quebrada de Humahuaca Valley wraps around it all, an ancient trade route used for 10,000 years. Its dusty roads echoing with the memory of caravans, of silence, of survival. Purmamarca's streets are narrow and cobbled, lined with adobe houses and market stalls, where artisans offer textiles dyed in natural tones, clay pottery, hand-woven ponchos, and salt from the flats not far beyond the hills. At the heart of the village, the small church of Santa Rosa de Lima stands in quiet shade, its whitewashed walls sheltering stories older than any map. The carob tree beside it is said to be centuries old. Watching it all, saying nothing, the people here speak softly. Spanish weaves with Quechua and old silences. Their rhythms are not yours. They belong to wind and stone. Altitude slows everything. Walk gently. Drink coca tea for the thin air. Rest often. Let the landscape move through you instead of the other way around. If you visit during carnival, you'll hear the sound of drums rising through dust, masks painted in laughter and mischief, a celebration rooted in resistance and joy. But even on an ordinary day, Purmamarca humbles. It stands still while time bends around it, like light over the painted hill. Come without expectation. Leave with something you didn't know you were missing. Recoleta does not whisper. It murmurs in marble and memory, an elegant district in Buenos Aires, where jacaranda trees frame grand avenues, and old buildings carry the weight of quiet pride. At its center lies the Recoleta Cemetery, a city within a city, where mausoleums rise like miniature cathedrals, each one etched with devotion and dust. Here rests Eva Perón, beneath black granite and armfuls of fresh flowers, still visited daily by those who remember her voice and those who wish they had. Cats roam the cemetery paths, silent, watchful, like keepers of untold stories. Outside the gates, plazas stretch in light and shade. Musicians play beneath fig trees, and the scent of roasted peanuts floats through the air. Visit the Museo Nacional de Bellas Arts nearby, or sit beneath the Floralis generica, a massive meadow flower that opens with the sun and closes with the night. Dressed with intention here, Recoleta notices. Speak softly. This place listens. Recoleta is not loud or urgent. It asks you to linger, to look up, to remember that history lives, not only in books, but in the spaces between footsteps. Laguna Esmeralda is a secret kept in cold hands, tucked into the heart of Tierra del Fuego. This glacial lake glows with an impossible green, soft, milky, luminous, as if the earth paused mid-breath and left a piece of sky behind in the basin. The trail begins gently, a path through lenga forest and thick peat moss, where tree roots twist like old fingers, and the wind carries the hush of things not spoken. You cross small streams, step around beaver dams, and watch as the mountains gather slowly at your side. Then, just when you think the silence can't grow deeper, the forest parts, and there, framed by snow-dusted peaks and cloud-fretted air, is a laguna, still and vivid, as if nature painted it while dreaming. Its color comes from glacial flour, tiny mineral particles suspended in meltwater, catching light, softening everything. The Fuegian Andes curve around it in silence. No sound but wind and your own breath. Reminded again how small you are and how welcome you feel in that smallness. Locals will tell you the best time to visit is early morning or just before dusk, when the light shifts and the mountains mirror themselves in the water. Bring boots that don't mind mud. And layers. Always layers. Watch the sky. Weather changes quickly here. Sun one moment, rain the next, sometimes both. Don't rush back. Sit on a rock. Let the cold bite a little. It's part of the gift. Laguna Esmeralda is not a destination. It is a conversation between stillness and color, between mountain and sky, between you and wonder. Mount Tronador does not just rise, it speaks. Its name, Thunderer, comes from the deep, echoing cracks that roll down its slopes when ice breaks free and crashes into silence. Straddling the border of Argentina and Chile, Tronador towers over the southern Andes, its peaks crowned by 3 snowy summits, one for each nation: Argentina, Chile, and an old, unclaimed heart in between. The glaciers here are dark at the edges, tinged with ash and stone, like bruises left by time. But when the sun finds them, they shine, veins of blue and white, glowing with a slow, ancient light. From Bariloche, a winding road leads you toward the base. You'll pass waterfalls, green valleys, and the Black Glacier, so named for the rocks and dust woven into its skin. Hike to Refugio auto-miling, if you wish to sleep near the stars, and wake with a mountain breathing beside you. Tronador is sacred, not in the way of monuments, but in the way of presence. Immense, unchanging listening. Here, the earth still sings in ice. Lago Argentino is where sky and glacier meet without apology. It is the largest freshwater lake in Argentina, a cold, vast mirror stretched across the steppe, fed by rivers of ice that arrive not in silence, but in slow, thunderous awe. The color of the lake shifts with the hour, turquoise at noon, steel blue by dusk, always holding the light like it's something sacred. From El Caliphate, boats glide across its surface, cutting clean lines through centuries of stillness. They carry travelers toward the frozen walls of Perito Moreno, UPS and Spegazzini, cathedrals of ice that calve into the lake with sudden, impossible grace. But Lago Argentino is more than a stage for glaciers. It is a living presence. Winds race across it, wild and untamed. In winter, the edges freeze. In spring, the water breathes again. Guanacos wander its hills. And flamingos, yes, bright and delicate, stand in pink defiance against the cold. The Tehuelche people once lived here, their lives shaped by the same wind, the same water. Today, their stories linger in the land's quiet corners, waiting to be felt more than found. If you come here, don't try to capture it. Just stand still. Let the lake teach you that beauty this wide is not meant to be owned, only witnessed. Cañón del Atuel is where the earth remembers fire and silence, carved by wind and water in the Mendoza province. This canyon stretches like a painted wound, red, ochre rust, stone walls shaped by time and sun. The Atuel River winds below, green against the copper cliffs, its current gentle in places, wild in others. Kayakers drift past rock formations, with names like El Fantasma, Los Monjes, El Cylinder Rivadavia, shapes sculpted by erosion and named by wonder. Above, condor circle wide. Below, shadows slip like slow thoughts across canyon walls. This was once sacred ground for the Hort people, who read the stone like scripture and drank from the river as though from memory. You can drive or bike along the narrow roads, but the magic happens when you stop. Touch the rock, feel its warmth, listen not for sound, but for presence. Cañón del Atuel is not loud. It reveals itself in silence, curve by curve, light by shifting light. Palermo is Buenos Aires at its most alive, a neighborhood that inhales deeply and exhales in color, rhythm, and bloom. By day, it's trees and terraces, wide avenues shaded by jacarandas, cafes spilling onto sidewalks, the scent of espresso and warm media lunas drifting in the breeze. By night, it transforms. Bars tucked behind unmarked doors, gardens lit with lanterns, and music that doesn't ask for attention. It simply finds you. Palermo is not one place. It is many. Palermo Soho, all vintage shops, art murals, and quiet rebellion. Palermo Hollywood, sleek restaurants, film studios, a touch of glitter beneath the grit. Wander through the Jardin Botanico, where cats lounge beneath ancient trees, and Borges' spirit seems to linger in the shifting light. Visit the Rose Garden, Rosedale in full bloom, where petals spill across mirrors of water, and boats drift lazily across the calm. Locals here live late. Dinners start at 10, and a casual stroll might end in poetry. Dress with flair, but never with urgency. Palermo is not a place you rush. It's a neighborhood you wear like a fragrance. Light, subtle, unforgettable. Nahuel Huapi National Park is where Argentina breathes its oldest breath. Founded in 1934, it is the country's first national park, a vast wilderness of lake, mountain, and memory, stretching across Patagonia like a hymn. At its heart lies Lake Nahuel Huapi, deep and dark and glacial cold, a mirror for clouds, a basin for myths. The Mapuche say a great creature lives in its depths. Nahuelito, shy and ancient, slipping beneath the surface like an idea not ready to surface. Whether real or imagined, the lake holds it close. Around the water, the park unfurls. Forests of lenga and coihu, volcanoes resting with one eye open, and meadows that glow gold beneath the austral sun. From the peaks of Cerro Catedral to the calm of Los Arrayanes, every path leads to something still and true. Trails vary from gentle to grueling. Some climb into the clouds. Others wind through moss and riverlight. But all of them ask you to slow down. Bring layers. The weather shifts like a passing thought. And never underestimate the Patagonian wind. It's as much a presence as a land itself. In spring, wildflowers bloom in soft riots of color. In autumn, the lenga trees turn to fire. Each season paints the park in a new kind of silence. Stay in one of the refugios, if you can. There, high above the lake, the night sky stretches forever. Stars as thick as snow, and the world narrows to firelight and breath. Nahuel Huapi is not meant to be conquered. It is meant to be felt, step by step, pause by pause. It is Argentina's wilderness soul, offering not adventure, but belonging. Tres de Febrero Park, known simply as Bosques de Palermo, is a green heart beating quietly within Buenos Aires. Its winding paths lead through rose gardens, lakes dotted with swans, and groves where the city's hum softens into birdsong. The Rosedal, a rose garden of thousands of blooms, explodes in color each spring, inviting visitors to linger beneath arbors dripping with scent. Visitors glide across the water in small boats, the quiet splash of oars blending with the rustle of leaves. The park's history is layered, once a site of indigenous hunting grounds, later shaped by French and English designers, its paths echoing footsteps from centuries past. At weekends, families gather with picnic blankets, children chasing kites, and laughter through the grass. If you walk early, you might glimpse joggers and Tai Chi practitioners. Finding rhythm in the cool morning air. Bring comfortable shoes. The park is vast, its secrets tucked in every corner. Speak softly here. Even the breeze seems to respect the space. Tres de Febrero is a pause in the city's rush, a place to breathe, to watch light flicker on water, to remember that even in the busiest places, stillness waits patiently. Salinas Grandes stretches like an endless ocean of salt, a bright, white desert that catches the sun and throws it back with a blinding smile. This vast salt flat lies high on the Puna Plateau, more than 3,000 meters above sea level, where the air is thin in the sky, so wide it feels like the earth's breath. The ground beneath your feet cracks in geometric patterns, ancient puzzles written in salt and stone, a landscape sculpted by water that evaporated long ago, leaving behind this vast crystal canvas. Walking across Salinas Grandes, you enter a world both alien and intimate, where silence stretches so wide it almost hums. The horizon blurs in the heat, and mirages flicker like dreams caught between earth and sky. Local indigenous communities, like the Kala people, have lived in this harsh beauty for centuries, harvesting salt by hand in rhythms passed down through generations. Their lives weave tradition and survival, a delicate balance with a landscape that gives and takes. Photographers and travelers come here seeking to lose themselves in the vastness, to feel small and infinite at once. Be mindful, the sun is fierce, and the salt can reflect more light than you expect. Bring sun protection, sunglasses, and plenty of water. Visit early morning or late afternoon for softer light, when the flats transform into a glittering sea. Salinas Grandes is a place of paradox, both harsh and delicate, silent and shimmering, timeless and fragile. It reminds us that the earth holds stories in every grain, waiting for those who listen with patience and wonder. El Chaltén is a village carved from mountain dreams. Nestled in the shadow of the jagged Fitz Roy Massif, it pulses with the rhythm of hikers and wanderers, drawn here by the call of granite peaks that scrape the sky. The air tastes of pine and cold, and every morning the mountains reveal themselves slowly, cloths of mist lifting like veils to unveil sharp, sheer faces. This is Argentina's trekking capital, where trails wind through lenga forests, past turquoise rivers, and up to panoramic views that feel like the edge of the world. But El Chaltén is more than a base camp. It's a community of shared stories, guides who speak in mountain metaphors, cafes filled with laughter and drying gear, and a quiet respect for the land's wildness. The name Chaltén means smoking mountain in the language of the Tehuelche people, named for the clouds that often crown Fitz Roy's summit. Weather here changes with the hour. Sunshine can give way to sudden storms. So come prepared with layers and patience. Spend your days walking trails like Laguna de los Tres, where the glacier-fed lake shimmers beneath the mountain's gaze, or the quieter sendero to Carrillo del Salto waterfall. At night, the sky unfurls with stars so bright, you'll feel suspended between Earth and cosmos. El Chaltén is an invitation to wander, to lose yourself and find something deeper, a whisper of the wild inside. Salta is a city where colonial colors and Andean spirit entwine. Nestled in the Lerma Valley, it glows with ochres and reds. Stone streets winding between Baroque churches and plazas alive with laughter. The air smells of roasted corn and spices, and music flows through its veins. Folklore blending with modern rhythms in cafes and markets. Salta's history is layered, from the indigenous Diaguita people to Spanish conquistadors who built their grand cathedrals here, each stone carrying stories of conquest, resistance, and resilience. The city's heart beats strongest in the Mercado Artesanal, where artisans displayed textiles dyed in vibrant hues, silver jewelry reflecting Andean skies, and the scent of freshly baked empanadas warming the air. Climb the Cerro San Bernardo for a panoramic view, red rooftops stretching toward the distant mountains, where clouds gather like whispered prayers. Salta's charm is quiet but undeniable, woven through its festivals, its warm smiles, and the slow dance of daily life. Be mindful of the altitude. Take it slow, sipmate with locals, and savor the way the sun feels softer here, as if it too remembers the mountains. Visit during the Carnival de los Teques, if you can, when streets flood with music, color, and joy, a celebration rooted in indigenous and colonial heritage. Salta invites you to wander, to taste, to listen, to remember that history is not just in books, but alive in the streets beneath your feet. Ushuaia clings to the mountains like a whispered secret. This tiny village, perched high in the Andes, feels frozen in time, where narrow cobbled streets wind between adobe houses, and every step echoes stories older than memory. Surrounded by rugged peaks and deep canyons, Iguazu's silence hums with the pulse of wind and stone. Locals speak in Quechua and Spanish, their traditions woven tightly with the rhythms of the land. Travelers come here seeking solitude, a place where the mountains hold you close and the sky feels impossibly wide. Be prepared. Roads are rough, weather shifts quickly, and patience is a virtue here. But for those who linger, Iguazu offers a glimpse of a world untouched, a place where time slows and the soul finds quiet. Mar del Plata is Argentina's seaside heartbeat, a city where the Atlantic breathes salty and free. Its wide beaches stretch endlessly, sand warmed by the sun, waves rolling in with a steady rhythm that invites you to slow down, to breathe deep. By day, locals and visitors mingle on the shore, kids building castles, fishermen casting nets, and the smell of grilled seafood weaving through the air. The architecture blends old-world charm with modern energy, from grand casinos and theaters to colorful fishing huts standing as reminders of the city's humble origins. As the sun dips low, the city pulses with life. Restaurants fill with voices and clinking glasses. Music spills from open windows, and the night invites you to dance or simply watch the stars above the ocean. Mar del Plata holds a festival spirit year-round, from film festivals to jazz and tango nights, echoing the diverse passions of its people. If you come in summer, expect crowds and celebration. In winter, a quieter, introspective beauty. Respect the sea and its moods. Swim where lifeguards watch and listen to the ocean's voice. Mar del Plata is both escape and home, a place where land and sea meet in endless conversation. As our journey through Argentina draws to a close, the landscapes, the stories, and the quiet moments linger like echoes in the heart. From the shimmering salt flats of Salinas Grandes to the wind-swept forests of Tierra del Fuego, from the vibrant streets of Buenos Aires to the soaring peaks of the Andes, Argentina is a tapestry woven of contrasts and connections. It is a place where nature's rawness meets human resilience, where ancient traditions hum beneath modern rhythms, and every path leads to a deeper understanding of place and of ourselves. Travel here is more than movement. It is immersion, a surrender to the land's stories, to the whispers of wind and water, to the pulse beneath the surface. You are the traveler now. Carry these stories with you, not as souvenirs, but as companions on your own journey. Let the spirit of Argentina remind you that every place holds a story waiting to be heard, if only you listen closely. Thank you for walking these paths together, and until our next adventure, may your travels be truthful, soulful, and full of wonder.